Have you guys ever had an idea for a photography project, but never really got it off the ground? Well, yeah, same. There's been a concept floating around my head for a while now, but I never really leaned into it. Mostly because I was scared. I was scared I couldn't pull it off. I was also scared that it wouldn't match the vision I had imagined. I was also scared that it wouldn't connect with anyone. But let's rewind real quick. If you've been following this YouTube channel and my photographic career, you know I've been in a slump for a while. Photography just didn't really feel that exciting anymore. Felt like I was kind of stuck in a loop. Basically, go out, find a cool spot, shoot, develop, scan, edit, repeat. So I went through some journals and some notes looking for any ideas from the past. And one, well, it kept sticking out. It's gone through several stages of evolution without me even picking up a camera. But that being said, the core of the idea has pretty much remained. Well, I figured actually doing something, shooting with intention, well, it could bring me out of my funk. So I packed up all my gear and ran out towards Highway 2 to capture some classic PNW scenes, like this car being reclaimed by the earth. Well, might as well talk about the elephant in the room. This footage, it looks bad. This was the Lumix S5ii's maiden voyage. It'd be the first time I'd be shooting out in the field. Unfortunately, the only preparation I took for this trip for this camera was watching a tutorial titled something like, "Set your camera up like a pro, you won't believe the results, Lumix S5ii." Well, I shot with a shutter angle of 180 degrees, as well as base ISO 640. And when I was testing this camera out in my office, it looked great, but in the wild, it was totally overexposed. Turns out, I desperately needed an ND filter. So yeah, after this trip, I immediately went out and bought a Hoya Variable Density 2 filter to kind of resolve this issue. Unfortunately for this video though, you're gonna have to deal with this blown out footage. So you already know I'm shooting Portra 160, but what camera am I shooting it with? Well, if you guessed the Nikon F2, you'd be right. I had brought all my lenses for the Nikon on this trip, but I primarily just stuck to the 35mm f2.8 AIS lens.
So Clara, what did you think about the Bigfoot Chalet Espresso?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna give it like a 7 of 10. Really good coffee. Loved the Squatch chip cookie. Beautiful views. Way too many people.
What about the Bigfoot?
Still MIA. So the hunt continues.
It's been several years since I actually picked up Portra 160, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how nice it is. The greens popped and the reds were vibrant. It kind of reminded me of Fuji Pro 400H, but warmer. I also brought my Pentax 6x7, loaded up with some Portra 160, and it was paired up with my somewhat new 55mm f4 lens. After almost slipping and falling into the rapids with all my gear on me, I decided it was probably best to head back to dry land. Could you imagine the headlines though if I did fall in? Shit photographer and worst YouTuber falls into rapids for some mediocre photos. Yeah, I'm kinda glad I avoided that outcome. This photo of the tree with the bark ripped off has really stuck with me. Lately, I've been trying to get a little more up close and personal with my subjects. Too often am I trying to cram something into a composition, when sometimes the subject is the composition. I really like the green leaves framing the torn bark. There's beauty in the chaos of it all. From here, we continued east, up into Stevens Pass. I originally thought about pulling off over here and taking some photos, but it was actually pretty busy. It's probably the last good weekend of snow before spring really hit. Now on the other side of the pass, Claire and I decided to make a pit stop at the 59er Diner, which is, you guessed it, a 50s themed diner. It was a quick pit stop. We ended up splitting a shake and some fries, but then hit the road again.
Eat milkshakes.
At this point in the trip, I thought I'd be pulling over about every other mile just to take some photos, but nothing was really calling to me. Eventually we would make it to the Wenatchee River, where we'd pull over, crack open a cold one, and just take in the views for a bit. So at this point, we reached Leavenworth, our final stop for the night.
We paid for a mountain view, but I don't see no mountain. Alright, so we just got to Leavenworth, and I think this is it for me shooting photos and taking video. I'm going to just put the camera down and just go have a day. There's nothing really I want to shoot here, so you'll probably be seeing me tomorrow. Probably hungover.
I don't find Leavenworth that inspiring, so I didn't really bring out any of my cameras tonight. Yeah, I've taken some good photos here in the winter, but this kind of snow melt look of spring, it wasn't doing it for me. So I decided to lean into a date night with Clara. Well, if you're interested in what me and Clara did for our date night, we went out for a drink, got some dinner, and came back to the hotel and watched Ocean's 11. The next morning, we retraced our route west, with our eyes open for anything new to capture. Eventually we'd see a detour for a waterfall, and after seeing the snowmelt create those rapids yesterday, we figured that the waterfall would probably be in full force. It was at this point I'd finish up the roll of Portra 160 in the Nikon F2 and load up some Ektar 100. However, it was at this point I realized I had shot the whole roll of Portra 160 at ISO 400. It honestly felt like someone punched me in the guts when I noticed the mistake. Luckily I was able to push this roll one stop in development, so I think it turned out okay. Let me know down in the comments if you suspected this roll to be compromised. Or let me know in the comments if you're just as surprised as I am that it turned out this good. Maybe this is the hot new look. Forget Portra 400, all my homies push Portra 160. Truth be told, I was definitely stuck in my head after the screw up. So I was desperate to capture something for this video, so I started shooting, aggressively. I just didn't want to walk away empty-handed. Ektar has significantly grown on me over the last year, but these photos, they have me second guessing myself. The greens just look weird, and the reds are a little too much. Red and green are complementary colors, but in these photos, they just seem to clash. A little background on these photos, I converted them using Negative Lab Pro with a Frontier preset and the linear setting. Maybe next time I need to use the Noritsu preset. Or maybe this just wasn't the scene for Ektar. Or maybe I'm an idiot and I exposed these wrong. So if anyone out there has any tips on how to correct these Ektar shots, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, this Nikkor 35mm f2.8 AIS lens, it's actually got a pretty solid close focus distance. Now if only I could hold my camera steady. Still thinking that I ruined the roll of Portra 160, I decided to head back to the Espresso Chalet from the day before and reshoot some photos. The Ektar shots definitely came out a little too green for my liking, but luckily I still had some Portra 160 loaded up into the Pentax 6.7. I ended up switching out the 55mm for the 90mm just to reshoot some compositions, but this time with a larger negative. Remember that photo I took of the car being reclaimed by Earth? Yeah, that photo I took leaning outside of my car window wasn't probably my best work, so I decided to head back and recapture it. This time though, I would hike back down there with the Pentax 6.7 in hand, now loaded up with some Kodak Gold 200. Trying to limit any altercations that could happen, I left the Lumix in the car. It's way harder to explain to someone why you're filming their property than it is to explain why you're photographing it, at least in my opinion. These greens are just not it. They're almost aqua. I know that overexposing film is a good rule of thumb, but I actually think these photos could have benefited from some underexposure. Kind of give it that overgrown, moody look. On the way back to the car, I took one last photo of this proud bar exclaiming that their beer is now on tap. If that's not going to raise the property taxes in this area, I don't know what will. So yeah, this outing was fun, it was messy, and definitely didn't go as planned. The Portra 160 was underexposed, the Ektar didn't hit, and the Lumix footage, well, it was all overexposed. But that's okay. Right now I'm just focusing on creating, not curating. Less overthinking, and more shooting. That's the thing I really do enjoy about shooting film, is the delay. There's a gap between shooting and developing that really gives you perspective. If I saw those Ektar shots right away, I probably wouldn't have kept on going. Luckily for me, when I got my film developed, I had another roll of Ektar in my batch from back in February. As much as this roll didn't turn out, that roll from February really showed me that Ektar is still special. This project is still pretty loose, and I'm not ready to define it. That being said though, I'm having a lot of fun just documenting these small Cascade towns. Well, if you like this video and like the direction it's going, stay tuned, because I should have video 2 up on this channel sooner than later. I'm just waiting on some film to come back from the lab. So if you would like to see more from this project, as well as some other film photography related projects, please consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Well, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. All right, one of those will work.